Now, as a Pan-African lawyer, I know the historical perspective, I'm fully aware of it, but as a Pan-African lawyer, we have sufficient Pan-African lawyers out there now to begin to take legal initiatives to re-empower the people of the land. And I think, as a member of the Bahamas Pan-African National Congress, I have an obligation to make the land the focus of our struggle, because we're fighting for independence. And independence can only be with possession of the land. If you're a tenant on the land, you are a second-class citizen. If you own the land, you're a first-class citizen in your own community. There's no magic to owning the land, you still got to farm it, you still got to do something with it. But if you treat it with love and affection, that you should for your ancestors and for the oncoming generations. Because a lot of sacrifices being made for this land. And I think we now as a people need to reflect. I understand where we've been historically, we brainwashed. And part of the problem is that brainwashing. We need to break that cycle. Because when the slaves came here, some of them were Christians. Because Christianity predates Western Christianity. A lot of those Christians that came here, they were told not to read their Bible in Amharic, or not Amharic, in Ge'ez, the language that was Amharic or whatever language was written in at the time. I'm not really a scholar, I need to bring some of our Rasta brothers here to discuss this. But at the end of the day, there were Christians, there were Muslims, there were Jews who were brought here as slaves. And they all had a concept of one God. They were black-skinned, and the only thing that they could do was to rise up and resist the oppression. And that's why I began with the concept of revolution. In Jamaica, and I think Dr. John Henry Clark's talk about the whole Caribbean as a whole. Through every year of the slavery, there was a rebellion, uprising in some country in the Caribbean. He says that the Caribbean is the most vibrant of all of the countries that were enslaved. South America and North America did not have that kind of resistance. In every Caribbean country there was a resistance. And we need now, Brother Ali, and I just want you, before we take the break, I just want you to begin a discussion around this, how we can not only break the brainwashing, but how we can seize the land. What it's going to take in the Congo, what's going to take in South Africa, what's it going to take in Nigeria, because Shell is doing a lot of nonsense in Nigeria. I hope you all don't mind me saying that, but it's on over the internet. A lot of those, they just had to pay out a compensation to the people in Nigeria and in Kenya as well. But Ali, before we take the break, I know I've been unfair to you.
Yeah, well, looking at the map, through Zaire, the Congo, throughout Africa, as I said, after they brought us here, they went back and took Africa, divided it the way they saw fit. But we have to also look at Egypt is a part of Africa. So the gerrymandering been going on a long time. But for those young people who I often talk to today, the only gerrymandering that they have any idea about is when somebody says Blue Hill is now in South Beach or wherever.
Hold that thought, Brother Ali. We got to take a break. Yeah. Gerrymandering. Blue Hill is now in South Beach. Baytown is now in Camp Road. Let's hear that when we come back.
Long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will.
To my guest tonight, I running hot. Let me listen to Brother Ali now. Brother Ali, you just started an interesting discussion about gerrymandering, and how we divide our political constituencies, and the whole idea of political control.
Yeah, and a lot of times when you would refer to Africa and what's taking place in Africa, as I have done in trying to talk to people about home, where we came from, where our roots. They have no idea of what I'm talking about. However, when you talk to them about, and when I say Blue Hill being in South Beach, I don't know the constituencies, maybe like I should, maybe I'm saying something wrong. But as many people have pointed out, because of gerrymandering and cutting for political reasons, places have shifted, lines have shifted, and the people are very dissatisfied in a sense about what's happening. What I'm saying that to say is the tradition continues. When you speak of the Caribbean is catching hell right now. When, without integration, if you can remember, throughout the Caribbean, people were taken from the Caribbean as maids, farm workers to cut cane, you know, pick apple, do peach, whatever the case, in different states. So we were kept as workers, plantation workers, in the Caribbean, where it was warmer like Africa along the line of the equator, and we were taken into the colder climate. We finished our job, we were sent home. The thing is, now, many of those people couldn't read and write.
That's right.
But they went, they did, they brought money back. What they did, they educated
Their children.
their children. And as Jesus said, greater things would you do. So they were saying to their children, I've been in the struggle. I know what it is to pick cotton from can't see morning till can't see night. And right now, I don't want you to pick no cotton. I want you to go to college.
Yeah, but now when we're talking about Africa, now, Brother Ali,
Okay.
you have the Ogoni people
Yeah.
in Nigeria
Okay.
who've been engaged in an armed struggle, liberation struggle for their region that's controlled by the oil producers down there. And the land is decimated. They're not getting any of the resources from the oil.
Yeah, but what I'm...
Now,
well,
let me finish my point, because I want to put it in the context for you. You have the armed liberation struggle for the land. Education is important, but in a revolutionary struggle, sometimes that education takes place during the armed liberation struggle. So in Nigeria, for instance, where these people are fighting for their liberation, they're fighting for their freedom, they're fighting for justice, they're fighting for social equality, and they can't sit down and go to school. Same thing in South Africa. Those children left the schoolroom. They took to the streets. They were the ones who created the liberation of South Africa, those young children. When we saw the images of those children being shot down in the streets, that enraged the older generation across the planet. It spurred us into action. But it was those young children. And I take the point you're saying about education. I understand the education process, but I want to put to you that the liberation struggle is so significant that we can't stop and hold class when we have to fight.
Understand it.